Awesome. Hey, Central Region. Hope you guys are ready to learn some nuggets today. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about selling to past customers or Cutco owners. This has been a focus of mine for the last year and a half through a lot of service calls and service events. And really, past customers are my favorite because they already love Cutco. You just have to show them some new stuff and then get them excited about buying it, and then they buy it. So it's pretty awesome. So I have a ton of info for you guys. So please make sure you take some really good notes. You might even want to grab the recording after the event today and go over it a second time just to make sure that you get all the information. So there's going to be 3 topics that I'm going to be covering. First one is the drop-down process for Cutco owners. Second thing are the other programs that we offer or that Cutco offers. And then the third thing is going to be a large package price positioning. So for the drop-down process, really, it's really simple. So when I first started selling Cutco, the only way that I thought there was to sell to past customers was just building a giant like list of the pieces that they liked. And by doing this, it actually gets the customer thinking about buying individually or individual pieces rather than buying in like a big package. So really what I wanted to do is just, get the customers thinking bigger. And so I converted to this type of selling for past customers just because it gave them an option for different packages that they can get. So there's 4 main packages that I sell to past customers or Cutco owners. And the first one is the Ultimate Upgrade. The second one is the Ultimate Builder Upgrade. The third one is a 9-piece set in a block. And then the fourth one is a 5-piece set in a block. So for the ultimate upgrade, really it's just 9 knives, 4 table knives, and the ultimate block. So it's super simple. Really, you just sell them the ultimate pieces that don't come in the homemaker, except for the shears. The shears aren't in the upgrade, but you figure most people have the shears. So really, in my mind, every Cutco owner essentially just owns a homemaker. The most popular set that we sell is a set that everyone and their mom has. So the way that I sell is, everybody's got a homemaker. Even if they don't have one, that's still the way that I think about it. And so that just makes the sales process simple. So when you deal with a new customer, they don't have anything, right? So it's like, okay, I can sell them an ultimate, a Siggy, a homemaker, really anything. And it's not going to duplicate anything. So the way that I see it is, everybody's got a homemaker. It's the set that they always get. So we just got to get them the ultimate block and the pieces that are missing. So just like the pieces that Bert explained in the talk before me, it really just includes the ultimate pieces, which are the pieces that you sell. So it's the 4-inch paring knife. And this is the order that I explain them as well. The 4-inch paring knife, the cheese knife, the Petite Santoku, the Hardy Slicer, the boning knife, the cleaver, the veggie knife, the Petite Slicer, and then the salmon knife. So it's those 9 pieces that go in the ultimate upgrade. And really, you just explain them just like how Bert did. The only one I know, there's a couple of them. So like Petite Slicer, how I explain that thing is, this thing's awesome, Mrs. Jones. It's a smaller version of the slicer you already have. It's like the big slicer is huge, right? So at dinner, it doesn't really fit on the table. Nice thing about the small one is it's great at dinner. So you can use it for buns, rolls, English muffins, or small loaves of bread. And it doesn't take up so much room on the kitchen table. And it's only like an inch smaller, but it makes sense to the customer. And so, so that's the ultimate upgrade. The ultimate builder, what I do is, because it's 5 knives, 2 table knives, and the ultimate block, is I have the customer, take out 4 pieces. So I say, Mrs. Jones, so the ultimate upgrade, if this is a little too big, totally understand. If you had to remove 4 pieces, which 4 would you take out? And then they take out 4 pieces, and then I sell them on those 5 that they picked. And then if the ultimate builder is still a little too big, then I drop down to a 9-piece in a block. So what that is, it's essentially the same thing as the ultimate builder. It's just that they get a smaller block. So they get 5 knives, 4 table knives, and the homemaker plus 8 block. And so they probably already have a block at home. So what I say is, so Mrs. Jones, you can actually just set this block right next to the one that you have at home. Or you can actually take this block and you can just stack it on top of the one that you have at home. And it's like the bottom of the block just goes against like your backsplash. And then it's like an extension onto your block. So all 5 of the new knives are going to fit in here, and it doesn't take up more counter space. You'll just have 2 blocks instead of 1, but they'll all fit in the same spot, which is pretty cool. Usually what I have in the 9-piece and also the 5-piece, which is the same thing without the table knives, is a 4-inch paring knife, a cheese knife, a Hardy slicer, a Petite Slicer, and a boning knife. So those are the 5 that typically go in the 9-piece and the 5-piece. But I let the customer kind of pick and choose. So if there's a piece that they're more excited about, they want a veggie knife instead of a Hardy slicer, totally can do that, which is pretty awesome. So really how this sales process works is just like how it works with new customers. So, you start with an Ultimate. They say no to the Ultimate, you drop down to the Siggy. They say no to the Siggy, you drop down to the Homemaker, and then to the Galley, and then to the starter sets. So the way that I start with Cutco Owners is I start with the Ultimate upgrade, and then I drop down to the Ultimate Builder upgrade, and then I drop down to the 9-piece, and then I drop down to the 5-piece, and then I drop down to like 3 or 4 pieces. And it just, so it's the same sales process. It's just different packages, which is pretty sweet. So at that point, really new customers and past customers or Cutco Owners, they're no different anymore. You just follow the same sales process and you just, choose a different package depending on what they like. And then the other programs that we also offer that to Cutco Owners, because obviously we don't just sell knives, is actually Flatware. So Flatware is definitely something that I'm super pumped about. Like the last week or so, I sold like 4 of them. And it's definitely the reason why I've been doing really well is because I've been selling a lot of Flatware. So Flatware, how I explain Flatware, it's super simple. It only takes like a minute to explain. But I say, so Mrs. Jones, have you ever heard of Oneida Flatware? And Oneida is a super popular flatware company. It's like, okay, cool. So Oneida, they actually used to help us manufacture our stuff. And then about 8 years ago, Oneida actually moved overseas. So they're actually now made in China, which is kind of unfortunate. But Cutco, they were super committed to keeping everything American made. So they actually bought out all of Oneida's machinery and were one of the last high quality sets of flatware still made in the US, which is pretty awesome. So the cool thing about Flatware is it actually comes with, we have our corporate discount on our 12 5-piece place settings. Normally we only sell it in 4-piece place settings though. So you get the 2 forks and the 2 spoons. And then it doesn't come with the dinner knives because most people have the knife sets with all the table knives already. But we do have a really good corporate discount if you do like those dinner knives, which is pretty sweet too. But for the Flatware, the cool thing too is they're ice cream proof. So, and then I just take a spoon, I try bending it. And so yeah, they don't bend, which is pretty sweet with normal wear and tear. And yeah, they're awesome. So the Flatware, and then, I go into closing, which is cool. And I'll actually get to price positioning here in a second on the Flatware. And then the other program is our family program. So if you don't already have this handout, this thing is awesome. It's a good visual. It has like a lot of the sets that we sell. So you got like the Ultimate, the Siggy, Homemaker, Galley. Sorry, my screen's a little dark or my camera's a little dark, but so yeah, so this thing is awesome. And this is also a money program to help you get a really big like list or a really big order with Cutco Owners. So every once in a while I go in and it's like they already have an Ultimate, they already have a Homemaker, and they just don't want anything else. And it's like, okay, well, have you guys ever thought about giving the gift of Cutco to anyone in the family? It's like, oh, guess I've never thought about that. Oh, okay, cool. Well, so the family program is actually one of our really popular programs because obviously when you bought your Cutco, it's lasted you a really long time, right? Which is pretty awesome. So the cool thing about the Cutco family program is what you do is you buy a set for each of your kids or each of your grandkids. And then the cool thing is what we do is we bulk discount your order. So, if, let's say, Mrs. Jones, you've got 3 kids, you want to get a set for each of your kids, we can bulk discount the order, so you save a lot of money that way. But then the other thing too is Cutco's prices, they go up every 2 years. So, let's say, obviously, your daughter's only 15 right now, and then your son's, 17. So obviously you're not going to give them a set of Cutco right now because they're still living at home, right? But let's say, 5-10 years down the line, you want to give them a set of Cutco. You're going to be paying that much more just because our prices go up every 2 years. So like in 10 years, it's going to go up 5 times. It goes up like 5 to 10% every time the prices go up. So this way you're saving a lot of money because you're beating all those price increases, and you just hang on to the set and give it to them when you're ready. And so the crazy thing with this, guys, is I did this with a lady in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I did this a couple of years ago, but she originally she actually bought sets for all of her kids, all 5 of her kids, like 25 years ago. And her grandkids, she's like, I want to do the same thing for my grandkids eventually. When I brought up this program, and she's like, but they're between the ages of 6 and 16. And I was like, well, how many grandkids do you have? And she's like, I've got 6 right now. And I was like, okay, well, obviously, the youngest one is 6, so they're not going to get Cutco for like 20 years. But as you notice, Mrs. Jones, like when you bought the galley set, 25 years ago, it was only like $500. Now it's almost $1,000. So it's literally doubled in price since you last bought sets for your kids. So why don't we just get it done now instead of waiting another 15, 20 years before the prices go up again? And then you're done. And she bought 6 galley sets for her grandkids that were between the ages of 6 and 16, which is kind of nuts. So this is an awesome program. This is a money program. Giving gifts is awesome. So a good question to ask customers too is, who are you shopping for today? Are you shopping for yourself or for gifts? And then you'll be able to know which package to go down. And it's always good to explain the family program on every single appointment. The other thing that I sell a lot of too is Cookware. So Cookware is definitely this thing that's like, oh, it's kind of hard to sell, it seems like, and it really isn't that hard. I can't go into too much detail because I don't have too much time today, but the simple version to explain Cookware, just a brief overview, is really the customer just needs to know that with Cookware, all you have to do is preheat the pan and then food won't stick. So if you preheat your Cookware, food won't stick. It's just kind of like a grill or an oven. When you put chicken on the grill, you preheat the oven or you preheat the grill, right? It's like, well, yeah. And then you throw the chicken out and then it kind of sticks at first. And then after it gets a good sear on there, then you're able to flip it and it doesn't stick. So that's same with Cutco pots and pans. Like chicken or most foods, it's going to stick at first, but once it has a nice sear on there, you'll be able to flip it and it won't stick to the pan. Now for eggs, and if you haven't done this already, I highly recommend doing this with the Cookware, is make an egg because it's the easiest way to sell Cookware. So what I do is I show them a video of me splashing water in the pan after or before it's preheated. What'll happen is the water just kind of evaporates into the air, and that means it's not ready. Once it is hot enough, you splash water in there and it dances around in the pan. So that means the pan's ready to go. And then for eggs, because there's no natural oil or juice inside an egg, you just need a cooking spray or butter. So I just use cooking spray. So I just spray the pan and then I throw my egg in there. And then what you'll notice is the egg doesn't stick, which is pretty awesome. And then once you get done cooking it, the egg won't stick to the pan. So the pan's super clean once you get done because, food doesn't stick to it, which is pretty sweet. And then I throw my cookware in the dishwasher. I throw everything Cutco makes in the dishwasher. It's definitely okay to do that. And so it's super easy to use because all you have to do is preheat it. They're easy to clean because you can throw them in the dishwasher. And they're all guaranteed just like the knives, which is pretty sweet. So that's Cookware in a nutshell. And then another thing too that obviously you can sell are accessories and everything else that Cutco makes. And the best thing to do with that stuff is just add it on to these packages So add it with their upgrade, add it with their flatware, just upsell those things because there's such small things to add on that it really doesn't make too much of a price difference for your customer, which is cool. So really the reason why I'm able to sell so many upgrades and have a high average order while doing it is because of the way that I price position. So this is definitely a big thing. And this is like the most important thing with selling large packages is because I sell on value, not price. So this is something I learned from a couple people. I've learned this from Seth. I've learned this from Bert. So I've learned this from a couple top CSPs in our region, which is cool. And this is how all the top reps in the nation sell, is off of value, not price. And so this is just why I'm able to, have that higher average order, because we're focused on the value of the set rather than the price. And, if you have a higher average order, it just means you're going to sell more, which is awesome. And so really with an ultimate upgrade, so this is how I pitch it. So after I explain all of the pieces that go in the ultimate upgrade, so 4-inch paring knife all the way down to the salmon knife or thin slicer, then I say, you're probably wondering how much this stuff costs, right, Mrs. Jones? And they're like, well, yeah. Okay, cool, Mrs. Jones. So so if you were to buy everything that comes in our complete set, which is the ultimate set, which includes everything that you have plus all the new stuff, this is what it retails for. And I point to the retail price. Now, the set that you have is our basic set, because everybody's got the basic set, right? And this is how much the basic set retails for, which is $1,540. Now, obviously, Mrs. Jones, you didn't pay this much for your Cutco, not even close. What we do is we give you this amount back towards the big set, and that so that you get this much off the big set, which is pretty cool, and that brings your price down to this, which is $1,755. Now, the cool thing, Mrs. Jones, is you can actually split this up on our easy pay. You just put 20% down. It's interest-free, so it doesn't cost anything extra. It's also not like layaway, so you get everything right away with the first payment. And it's all automatic too. So it's just 1 today, 4 more after that, and then you're done. And then you get all 9 of these pieces here. And then you get the 4 steak knives or table knives. And then you get the block. And then you're set. Never have to buy knives ever again, which is pretty awesome. And so I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the retail price of the complete set with the table knives is $32.95. And the retail price of the homemaker is $15.40. What I did is I just took the $15.40 off the $32.95, and that brings it down to $17.55. I'm pretty sure with this order, I literally just have to bonus 1 knife. So it's almost full retail price for everything. But because of the way that I price position it as, this is the retail price of the complete set, and this is how much, you didn't pay for this much. You didn't pay $1,500. They probably only paid $700, $800, $900, $1,000, whatever it may be. Even if they bought it yesterday, they would have only paid $1,300, but they're getting $1,540 off of the complete set essentially. And that brings their price down to this. So it's only $1,755, which is pretty awesome. And the CPO on this is like $1,300 to $1,500, depending on which knives they are missing, which is, usually all the ultimate pieces. So pretty awesome. If they say no to that, then what I do is I drop down to the builder upgrade, which is then $1,020. With this, I have to bonus 2 table knives, I'm pretty sure. But, it's $700 cheaper than the ultimate upgrade, which is nuts. And then if they say no to that, then I drop down to the 9-piece, and then I drop down to the 5-piece. And for the 5-piece, this is almost the same. It's a little less than a galley. Galley is like 900-ish. So it's only a couple $100 cheaper than a galley set. Yeah, it's like, well, with the 9-piece, they're only missing a couple pieces, which is pretty sweet. But these sets are awesome because I used to sell like a 5-piece in a tray or 5 knives or buy 4 get a fifth free, or buy three, get a fourth free. And when you do stuff like that, it really kills your average order, because, you know, you're selling like an average of 250 to 350 usually if you're going closer to that route. Even if you're doing 5 knives in a tray for like $400, which is, you know, a lot of people still sell that set. Your average order is only going to be 350 to 400, where with a 5-piece like this, the CPO is 500 to 600, depending on the items that are in the block, which is pretty cool. So this is definitely a more advanced way to sell, but the cool thing is you can just put this into Cutco orders. So if they want these 5 pieces, which is the 4-inch boning knife, cheese knife, Petite Santoku Hardy slicer, if they wanted these 5 pieces, all you have to do is put it into Cutco orders and then go to Order Advisor, put the target price as $6.99, and then it'll tell you what to bonus, which is pretty sweet. Now, price positioning for flatware, this is something that I do, and I don't think there's actually too many people around the nation that are doing this currently. But so this is what our 4-piece place settings cost. So this is just full retail price. So if they don't want the dinner knives, this is what I would charge. So for the 4-piece, so a place setting is $120 essentially. So 12 place settings is $14.40. So you might be thinking about that as like, wait, a full flatware chest is $14.59. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy discount that we can offer. So how I sell this set is I explain flatware like I did earlier. Then I say, okay, Mrs. Jones, so we do have a really good corporate discount on the flatware. So if you are interested, this stuff's awesome. So normally what the special is for the 4-piece place setting is $14.40. And that's for 12 of the 4-piece place settings that you see here. Now, the crazy thing is, so Mrs. Jones, like this dinner knife, and I show it to him, is $61. So times 12, it's a pretty large investment, isn't it? Right? And they're like, yeah, that's a lot of money. Of course it is. It's Cutco, right? Now, the cool thing is, so with our corporate discount, Mrs. Jones, is for an extra $19 on top of this, literally just $19, you get 12 more of these. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I am like, yeah, you're basically getting them free. And then, you know, Mrs. Jones, if you do want to do that, I can also include the 6 serving accessories for free. So you get all 6 serving accessories. You get the 12 5-piece place settings, and it's just an extra $19 on top of that, which is pretty crazy. So price positioning, obviously, you know, we can all sell a flatware chest for $14.59, but the retail price is like well over $2,100. And so by price positioning it this way, you know, obviously $14.59, we don't have to bonus anything just because of the way that Cutco allows us to discount that set. We're still able to sell that at a super low price, which is $14.59, which is in full technically as how we sell it, or how we write up the order. But so yeah, so that is how I you know, price position those larger sets, and that's why I'm able to sell it like a full retail price or close to it, rather than, you know, bonusing a bunch of stuff in order to get the customer to like it. Just remember, all of your customers, you know, if you meet a Cutco owner and they've had their stuff for 10 years, they don't even remember how much they paid for their Cutco. So if you sell at, you know, full retail or a little under, it's still a great deal because Cutco is the great deal. The price is not the great deal. Really, the Cutco, getting the product is the deal. So, you know, if you have Cutco for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it's going to be the best investment ever because you don't have to buy a $50 set or a $100 set every couple of years just to, you know, get by with, you know, knives that aren't that great. And so that is how I sell to past customers, or with those packages. I did want to give you guys a little bonus material too here. And so like a lot of past customers, what they do is they give me a lot of objections, like brand new customers. And so I just wanted to share a couple of objections with you guys and how I handle them. And so the biggest one that I get is when a customer says, I already have everything. It's like, Mrs. Jones, you have all 144 pieces that we make? It's like, Oh, no, I don't have that many. It's like, oh, well, then you don't have everything. Because all 144 pieces, we've got all the knives, we've got all the flatware, we've got all the cookware. Those are all Cutco pieces as well. And then if they say, I don't really need anything, I say, it isn't. So it's not about what you need, Mrs. Jones. It's all about what you want. All we really need is food, shelter, and water, right? And then, usually they laugh. Another objection that I get is I just use one knife for everything. And it's like, Mrs. Jones, totally understand. You love that chef knife for everything, but knives are kind of like, or they're pretty similar to like tools. We could use a hammer for everything, but it's a lot nicer to have the right tool for the right job. So we all have like wrenches and screwdrivers and everything else. And they definitely make jobs a lot easier if you have the right tool for the right job, right? Or, similar to that, you golf, Mrs. Jones, you just use a driver for the whole, 9 holes or 18 holes of golf, or do you use like a wedge, a putter, and everything else? Like, oh, well, use all those different clubs. Yeah, you want to have the right tool for the right job. Another question is that I get, I don't get as much anymore, but I don't need that many steak knives. It's like, hey, Mrs. Jones, totally understand. I don't really get this that much because the way that I talk about our ultimate upgrade is, you get a few extra steak knives, never can have too many of them. And everyone's like, oh yeah, totally understand. But if you do get this objection, how I handle it is, totally understand. But Mrs. Jones, do you ever have like the whole family over, or a few friends over ever for, do you ever entertain? It's like, well, yeah. So my parents, they actually used to only have 6 steak knives because we're a family of 6. But now that, we've all been married and, we're starting to have kids and everything too, we have, when the whole family's over, like we have to share them, or my mom literally has to dig out of the back of the drawer these like cruddy steak knives that don't really work very well, just so everyone can have a steak knife. And so, wouldn't you rather just pull out the nice steak knives, Mrs. Jones, instead of pulling out those bad ones? It's like, well, yeah, of course I'd rather have enough steak knives so when everyone comes over, they can all have their own, right? And so, Mrs. Jones, my parents, they used to have 6. Now they actually have 18 at their home that they live at full time. And then at their second home, they have 12 more, just so when we all get together, everyone can have their own steak knife, which is kind of nice. And another objection is we've been doing just fine with the set that we currently have. And how I handle this is awesome, Mrs. Jones. The set you have is great. But I don't know if you noticed, but obviously the trimmer went really dull, faster. Same with your petite carver steak knives, whatever their favorite piece is. And really the only reason that they went so dull so quick is because that they are taking on a lot of work throughout the year. So obviously that's your favorite knife, Mrs. Jones, right? And they're like, yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, as you notice, like that one went dull quite a bit faster, needed sharpening faster. And it's just because it has all this work that it's doing. If you add on a few extra knives, it can share the workload with all the other knives that you may include. Even if it's just a few more, it's definitely going to help your knives stay sharp longer, because then they're sharing the workload of every week cooking rather than, doing it on their own. So that's what I got for some objections. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Hope this helps with selling to past customers. Again, just make sure you drop down with those 4 packages: the ultimate upgrade, the ultimate builder upgrade, the 9-piece and the 5-piece, and build really big like lists. Explain those packages the best you can. And if you guys need anything, let me know. Crush this summer. You guys are awesome. And I am sure I will see you guys all soon. Have a good one.